Hey, game bakers! Game bakers? Okay, I guess we're baking some games today. Welcome to, I'm kinda hoping I'm right here, the 5th devlog for EM2. Now, just a quick little note before we get started. The Linux and Mac versions of EM1 are now available on both Steam and itch.io. So if you've been patiently waiting for them, they are now available, and there are links in the description to where you can download them. Now, in the future for this game, for EM2, I'm going to have the Mac and Linux versions available right off the get-go. The reason I couldn't this time is because I don't have a Mac or a Linux computer. I had to kind of outsource the testing, and I felt it would be really irresponsible to just, hey, here's my game, and here are 2 versions of my game that I haven't tested at all. Have fun! Because I wouldn't be able to test or troubleshoot anything. It's like, I don't know why your thing is breaking. I've got no idea. Sorry! But now I've got a Mac tester and a Linux laptop that's probably not going to be able to play this game, but we'll see. We'll see when that time comes. I could always look into that a bit more. But, so yeah, those are available, and that is wonderful. Now, I'm gonna digress a little bit, because you might notice I sound kind of funny. Yeah, so our furnace died, and that means my house is really cold. I've got 2 space heaters set up, which is great. It's keeping me warm. Had to turn them off to record. Well, I turned the one off because the one is obnoxiously loud, and this resulted in just me being sick. So I'm gonna probably be talking a little quieter today and a little less hypey than normal, and I've clearly not saying words accurately. But I wanted to get this out for the 31st. I wanted to. I've been super good at getting these out on time. So here's hoping this doesn't turn out as terrible as I'm gonna think it is. Okay, so actual game progress this last month. I've actually made quite a bit of it. This is going to be terrible. I'm sorry. Okay, so last time we had Aeon done, and it was just the main map of Aeon. So I've reworked some of the EM1 maps to kind of... Okay, so original GMAE here. Its maps, some of them are just like the worst maps I've ever made, and I don't know why. It just kind of ended up like that. I think my graphics are like 50% bigger than the default, and I had to kind of work with that, and I didn't really know how, so it ended up with a lot of maps that were just like unreasonably big like these for no reason. I don't know. This one stayed the same. So I modified some of the existing maps to, well, like, you wouldn't change, like, the entire design of your store between 4 years, unless you're the town I live in, where they do that all the time, but, you know, so, I modified some of the existing ones. I don't think these ones will show up modified. I can't remember, but these are just the existing parallaxes. I might have updated them. I don't need to. This one's updated. It had the Quithma tweak, because why not? But, so, yeah, those ones are updated, and these are some of the new ones. These are just based on the old ones, heavily. I noticed something, actually, with the, map zoom plugin I'm using. I can actually, okay, so in the previous map zoom plugin I was using, it would kind of center the camera on the player no matter how close you were to the edge of the screen when you were zoomed in. So the camera itself would just like move over to make the entire map fit in the screen. This one doesn't. Whoa! That was loud. So what actually happens when you zoom in is you go off the screen, which is fine. But what ends up happening is if your map is too close to the edge of the screen, then because my interior maps are zoomed in by 0.2? They're set to 2 anyway. 1.2. I'm just gonna gonna warn you in advance. I'm gonna be blabbering, and I have no idea what I'm saying. I'm gonna look at this later and be like, what was I talking about? So, you know, fun. But, so what was happening is I'd, you know, open the menu on the side of the screen and get cut off, or have the map close to the, let's talk through here, too close to the edge, and oh, well, you know, my characters just walk off the screen like it's no big deal. So, it's the same thing I did with EM1, where I centered all of the maps so they wouldn't touch the edge of the screen. And this game wasn't designed that way. The original GM1 was, this one wasn't. So, clearly you can see I can just walk right up to the side of the map, but because I'm using zooming, it's a problem. Breathe. So, yeah, I'm still adding that, meaning they're a little bit redundantly big, but they're only the necessary amount of extra pixels. This is just the parallax repeating, it's not a problem. But I tried a couple things to make that work, and it just would not work. I'm also trying to do a neat little thing. Instead of using tinting, and I've actually got a point about tinting to make about RM, but I'll get to that in a second. I'm actually using the shadow layer, since I didn't really use it all that much. Wow, okay, let's turn, not doodads. Let's turn light off. So I'm actually using the shadow layer to do kind of a nighttime effect, so that I don't need to tint the maps, for no reason other than I thought it might look cool and I've just been kind of playing with it. But yeah, so I've been using that way I can toggle between like night and day maps just with the shadow thing and not have to worry about tinting. Tinting is no big deal as far as screen tinting goes. It's just a thing I was playing with and thought would be fun. That is literally the reason. So, back to this, Aeon's finished. I updated all the old teleporters, and it was actually really easy because I can just do, because of the way the plugin command for the zoom is set up, which I have on all of these, right? I have, well, yeah, all of these except the ones that are locked. Oh my gosh, okay, so, yeah. So based on how the zoom thing was set up, it was set up in more or less the same way as this one, so I just opened the maps in PSPad here and did a batch file search replace for the new codes, and now they all work, so that's fine. I had to manually go in and add the teleport effect and autosave to it. I have to do them manually just because plugins and reasons and game breaking stuff, but it's no big deal, it's all fun. The suburb app for Aeon is also made now, so that's good. So as far as game progress, we finished Aeon, we, you know, finished the entirety of the castle and all of this stuff. This is fun. All of the characters at this point are introduced. Now, it's actually kind of funny. Zephyr, he's, well, you've probably noticed I've been posting the character introductions, which is just Akira's little, this is the character from the first game, and they were nice, we're friends now, kind of thing. And I just thought it's funny, because Zephyr actually gets introduced here, and then you've got this entire area on the airship where he's there, and he doesn't actually get formally introduced by Akira until here. Like, it works story-wise. Oh gosh, that was so loud. It works story-wise, but it's just funny, I didn't notice that until now. That it's like that. So, we're finished the airship area, which I'm happy about, because oh my gosh, that's like one of my least favorite areas. I was so happy when I did it the first time, and now it's just like, ugh. I did a lot of minor changes to the airship area, actually. I had a lot of redundant maps there, and I've been trying to eliminate them because there's no reason to be there, like, at all. It's just extra mapping that doesn't need to be done. I don't feel like I'm taking anything important away from the game by not having these maps. Just like, Doken's room somewhere? I might have deleted it from here. This is just my test one, so it can be screwed around with as much as I need to. But yeah, some of the redundant rooms that you don't really, like, actually I think I referenced this in an NPC here. Where are you? Somewhere here. NPCs is like, oh, redundant maps, who needs those? I should mention this, actually. So, there are times when you're game developing, and you'll come across something that you did that's like, a mistake or something you didn't notice, but, like, it would be much more of a pain in the butt to go and fix it. That looks funny. It's just on the parallax that's been fixed in the actual map, but I don't update the parallaxes, because I don't need to. They're just here so I know where to walk. Anywho, there are things in games that you don't notice, and for me, I just kind of write them into the plot, and it's actually really fun. In this case, this is the Juggernaut, an airship named by Dokkan, and every time I wrote these file names for the Juggernaut, I wrote Huggernot. I don't know why. Maybe I just wanted to go hug my cat, but so I decided, yeah, we're gonna make that little in-joke, because the Huggernot, why not? And there are more things like that too. This guy, actually, in the original, I think it's this guy, mentions how Merrick is now spelt Merrick. Merrick is now spelt Merrick, whatever. And, that's because I didn't bother, for some reason, to go back into my old game and be like, oh, you know, how did I spell that? I kind of did the same thing for a lot of my towns, which is why their spelling is so inconsistent. But that's something I'm trying to fix, right? For these two. So, I actually ended up writing the Merrick thing into the plot with Zephyr wanting to kind of rebrand Merrick with a less, odd spelling of it, I suppose, because to me, the word always just felt evil, which is what I was going for. That's why I changed the spelling to be M-E-R-R-I-K, because I feel that's just more natural looking and more, friendly looking. So that kind of got worked in the game. Same with Akira's tail. I don't know if any of you who haven't played GM2 have noticed, but GM2 Akira, this game's Akira here, she doesn't have a tail. And I honestly, in the original, I just forgot that she had a tail, because I had worked on the GM series for like a couple years at that point, right? So I did all her sprites, and I'm like, huh, I forgot, she's supposed to have a tail, whoops. So, I actually ended up just working that into the story, so I didn't have to re-sprite anything. It's terrible, but it's so true. I have quite a few little things like that in the game that are just, huh, can I make that into a plot point? So I think that was pretty fun. It actually worked really well, I think, because, like, I don't know. It's really hard to explain, but it's really fun. I feel like there was a point I was talking about before that, but I don't remember what it was. Oh, I can't do that right now. In any case, the Juggernaut's all done. I've got some videos for some character introductions that are going to come up next month, whatever month it is. And Merrick, I've started mapping. I've got the kingdom done. We're now Happy Merrick, so everything's all yellow and blue and red and shiny. This map isn't done. It doesn't have much on it. Oh, and a nice thing, something in regards to what I was saying earlier about like fixes for stuff like with the tail thing and Huggernot there is in the original Merrick, it's all happy looking and stuff, but there are a lot of flashbacks that take place here, which is fine and all, except it's kind of jarring because you wouldn't expect the happy new kingdom of Merrick to be you know, the sad, depressing Merrick from the flashbacks. So, luckily, because this is all in the same graphical style, more or less, it, where is it? I can still use the old Merrick maps for all the flashbacks, so I don't have to worry about putting anything in here. And something I've been doing, actually, for, primarily just for NPCs, is, writing them as how do I say this? Inputting the data as I go for the entire game as far as the NPCs go. So, like, Merrick, say, is a place you come back to quite a few times throughout the game, and it was just, wow, you do not have a lot of text updates. What happens when you usually go back and change their dialogue for the NPCs and such. So for me, because they're already here, you know, it was easier just to input them as I go. That way I don't have to come back, when I come back, you know, 6 hours of gameplay into the game and be like, okay, what NPCs need to update? They're just all done. This game, as far as switches and stuff go, they weren't as derpy as GM1's original ones were. They were just all over the place. I didn't know really what I was doing. So these ones make a lot more sense. There aren't as many... Okay, well, there are still quite a few redundant switches. Things that happen during game development is you miss something and you're, you know, test playing it later once the game is finished, and you realize, oh, I need to fix this, or I need to do that, or this character is on the team when it shouldn't be, and I need to do something. So I just have all of these switches that are like, I need switches to fix things, switch. So, yeah, those are all just like fixes after the main game is made, once you go back and test play everything. Because I usually just test play areas, and then after I get a good chunk of it, I'll test play the entirety of what I have, and then see where it goes from there, sort of thing. So, yeah, I've been just writing so much NPC text, it's just ridiculous. 6 pages! 6 pages! And MV is nice. It only has a limit of, like, 20 pages. I generally don't go over 20 pages. There's only maybe 1 or 2 instances where I do. Like, one of these has 20 pages in them. I swear, I'm not crazy. One of these does have 20 pages in it. I thought. Oh well. In any case, I do have a couple events that are like 20 pages or so. I think I have one that's 21 or 23 pages, because XP doesn't care. XP just lets you do like 100. I'm not actually sure. It's probably 99, but we're not gonna test that. What? Okay. Yeah. So, I've just been inputting them, and it means all the areas take just so much longer to event anyway. Something I was also considering adding in, my brother actually gave me this idea. I was gonna do this in the original. There's like this event on Merrick Roof here, castle roof, somewhere just a roof. Also, I hate this. I move this up, okay, and then I, you know, do stuff with it, and then it'll just revert back down here, and it drives me nuts. I love XP, I do, but I don't think I could go back to making stuff in XP. I love all of the convenient stuff that's been added in. Where's my roof? Roof! So I have somewhere here, I don't really want to click on any of the events, actually, because that might be dangerous. For spoilery reasons. Anywho, so I have this event where you walk onto this roof here, and the characters are like, hey, do you remember that thing that happened here last time? And they're all like, oh, yup, and that's the cutscene. I wanted to do like a, you know, because I don't feel like you need to play the original to play this game. I feel like you need to play the original to fully understand this game, but I think you could just pick it up and play it as is. The game references what you need to know for the most part, but what I had wanted to do was put spots in that, like, tell you about stuff that happens, and I was thinking, okay, well, I could have, like what my brother was doing, put a little shiny light here, you can walk into it and it'll be like, oh, here's a video of, like, a recap of something that happened here, just like bits and pieces, not more than a few seconds long. But I don't know, I'd really have to think about what I'd need to recap from the original. Like, its events are important to this game, but it's more about the characters, and that doesn't really need to be recapped because that just all gets explained or advanced in this game. It doesn't really matter all that much. So, I don't know. It was just a thing I was thinking of doing. So the castle's all evented. It's all done. Zephyr gets properly introduced here, and that's all good. I've been working on the city, but then that's when my furnace died, and so all I've got is this map. It's not worked on. I think it might be pseudo tile off, but it's not done yet. So that'll be the next thing that I do. And then we get onto the fun parts of the game. The first parts are fun, but comparatively to like the last, not even the last, about, I don't know, I guess about this area and onward, it starts getting good, like really good, and then it gets like really, really good, and then it gets like really, really good, and then there's kind of this like lull zone, in the next bit. Not in the next bit, from what I was saying. I know I'm not making sense, and I apologize for that. Anyway, so the game gets really good, and then there's this like lull point near the end where, you know, it's mostly tying up loose ends sort of stuff, and then it's like I love the end dungeon. It's my favorite end dungeon I've ever done. And then there's the Epilogue quest, which I'm super looking forward to doing. You know, I haven't even finished most of the game, but I want to do the Epilogue. It's just so drastically different than the rest of the game, and I really, really like that. It's see, in this game, and I'm gonna go on a more colorful map here. Totally more colorful. I don't know, Eon? Eon's kind of colorful. No, I forgot what I was saying now. That's no good. The Epilogue quest, right? See, in this game, in the majority of this game, and the first one, there's this driving force, right? In the first game, it's I've got to find my sister, which after a certain point becomes we gotta stop big bad evil guy, because he's a jerk. In this game, it's more of a mystery. You don't actually find out the big bad. You're not... Like, there's, you know, the darkness, and that evil kind of, overlay isn't the right word, but, that kind of just feeling of dread through a lot of the game. And what's pushing you forward in this game is figuring out what's causing all of the evil, which you slowly, through bits and pieces, figure out throughout the game, and then it's time to do something about it. But it's a lot more of the character's journey themselves than the actual save the world plot in this game. It's a lot more about the characters and their interactions and their I guess reactions to the plot that's going on. The plot is built around testing and making the characters grow, as opposed to we need to go defeat the bad guy. Which it does come up at some point, but it's a lot more, why is this happening? What's going on? Why isn't this building centered? Oh, well, you don't walk into it. It doesn't need to be. I just needed to be next to that house. Anywho, in contrast to those, the Epilogue quests are very, here is your small team, here is their plot, and the plot is more about them doing a thing than, like, go save the world. Now, in the first couple, there are fights, like there are boss fights where you have to go and fight a thing, and in the first Epilogue quest, that's the goal of it, or at least that's what kicks off the quest. You know, you're being sent to, oh, this place, you need to go fight the monsters and do the things. But it's a lot more about advancing the characters. I don't know what that means, but it's a lot more character-centric. It's what the characters are doing and their little side story instead of anything. And I really, really like that. It's just so starkly different from the last, like, 60 hours of gameplay, and I love it. I'm so looking forward to doing those. Anyway, so I'm up to Merrick, and that was a lot of me rambling, so good. But, I wanted to note something, actually. In the Kari introduction video, there was, like, lines on Kari's face here. This event. And that's actually a bug that I was fixing at the time. I have terrible eyes and don't notice little things like that right away, so I forgot to turn the thing I was testing off before I recorded. Either that, or I uploaded, an older version of the cutscene and didn't realize it. But, that's actually caused from MV not playing nice with half-transparent pixels, and I can actually show you a bit of it. What happens is any light half-transparent pixels on a picture that you try tinting will, go dark for some reason. It's really bizarre. Okay, so we're just gonna make up an event real quick. Let's just use one of the location pics. I love this. I love Find. Find is amazing. So we're just gonna have that on picture, like, oh, I don't know, 47, sure. Let's just do that. Now what we're gonna have, did I start my character here? Okay, good. We're gonna have this secondary event that's gonna be on Parallel. That's going to, not tint screen, tint picture, which is just gonna tint the picture by, like, 1, okay? Just any of these values by 1. Picture, what'd I say, 47? I hope I said 47. So that's just gonna do that, and then we're gonna wait, like, 60 frames, and then it's gonna tint back to 0. So this is neutral tinting, there's no tint applied, everything's good. And we're gonna wait another 60 frames. So it's gonna constantly do that back and forth, and I'm gonna show you what this does. Now, I've tested this in a default file, like a brand new MV file. And I don't know, this could be a 1.5 thing, I haven't updated past that, 1.5.1 I think. Anyway, as you can clearly see, this is what is happening to the half-transparent pixels on here. They're, like, going dark and turning the light off, and I don't know why it does that. It actually gives me an interesting way of playing with it to be able to turn off the glow on my characters easily. But, so this is why that was happening, and this is stuff I was testing around tinting to try and kind of fix that from happening. Clearly to no avail, but it's not that, like, I know why it was doing that. Because specifically with, Kari and Zephyr, I can actually show you what I'm talking about here. Pictures, test, Kari. So, for most of my characters, I just, based on how I was doing this, since I didn't intend to do the voice acting, I didn't intend to do the mouth flaps right off the bat. I had these all pre-made up beforehand. So, I ended up just cutting the faces out with a batch command on Photoshop. So all of these, for the other characters, are these nice, crisp edges, right? Now with Kari and Zephyr specifically, I couldn't do that because they both have costumes that require hair color changes. Zephyr's hair goes black in some of them, and Kari's is kind of a darker brown. So I had to actually go in and, like, manually, like, get rid of them. Like the hair color. So they ended up more like this. But what had happened because of this is I didn't, well, you can even see it here. I should probably fix that a bit more. These probably wouldn't cause too much of a problem. Clearly I haven't seen it since doing this. Either that or I just haven't fixed this one properly. Anyway! So, these weren't, crisp edges. These were half transparent just based on the eraser type I was using, because I hadn't either encountered the tint thing or wasn't really thinking about it at the time. So what had happened is I was getting a shadow from the tint that I had applied at the time, and that's what was causing that. And I turned the tint off, everything's fine, but I did go back and manually edit these again to make them not an issue. I kept these ones with the skin tone because they have blushies in them, but all the other ones end up more like this. I know it looks silly on here, but it blends with the other things fine. Well, that probably doesn't need to be. Anyway, this looks silly like this. What's these F's? Yeah, so most of his are fine. I think I paid more attention on his. I did test them all, so it shouldn't be a problem now, and if I notice any, I can easily fix them. But, yeah, that's why, and I don't know why Envy does that. It's just what Envy does. So, fun. I actually noticed another thing on my my face graphics. Face graphics. Face graphics are over here. I'm smart. I know what I'm doing. Don't laugh so much. Oh my gosh. So on some of the characters between these two, these four, my layout that I used to, heck, I can actually show you this if you wanna let me open my Photoshops. Actually, you know, that's probably gonna make my computer lag like crazy. Let's not do that. So the layer that I use for the faces got disaligned at some point. I'm not sure when. I think it was while I was working on EM1. I manually fixed all of those because it was just easier at that point. But gonna re-export some of these. But yeah, they kind of, I don't know if you can really tell on some of them, but there's like this mild overlay or overlap on the frame. Let's go with frame. So I fixed the layout, and I'm gonna re-export these at some point. They're all just set up in a nice little batch thing. Or a nice little folder. This is all fine. It's all easy. I just haven't done it yet because I haven't done it yet. I'll probably do it next time I go to add faces to the characters, and so that'll be fixed. I'm not sure if you guys noticed it, but it's been driving me crazy for a while now. But I only really noticed that was the issue because I'm looking at my grid on my layout, and I'm like, that's not right. So I fixed that. Now, if you want to hear me talk more about this, you'll have to tune in tomorrow. Anyway, thank you for watching today, and I'll see you later, gamers.